Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakorash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And we're going to go in the news, get into a few things happening as our enemy is honing in, all right, very craftily, all right, if that's a word, using craft, using some very serious subtlety as he hones in on painting the gospel of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, our testimony, as hate speech. All right, that's the path that this devil is on, and ultimately, you know, passing laws and legislation centered around, all right, making it illegal to speak against their evil doings or speak against them at all. You see? And a big part of our testimony is the end of Esau's world, because that's the kingdom that has to be destroyed in order for the kingdom of heaven to be set up. As a matter of fact, let's get Revelation, the 19th chapter. All right. Revelation, the 19th chapter. In the because what happens in the 18th chapter? Okay, the Heavenly Father through Yahweh Shai, in verse 21, Revelation 18 and 21, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. The sea represents the people. All right, and this represents Yahweh Shai being sent, all right, to crush Babylon the Great. You see? So a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and it shall be found no more at all. This is a part of our testimony, right? So after this happens, right, Revelation 19 and 1, and after these things, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, hallelujah, salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord our power. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore. Now the great whore is that great city, which is Babylon the Great, which that would be ran by a nation of people in the latter days. See? And that nation of people happens to be the biblical Edomites. As a matter of fact, let's get Psalms 130. Let's see. I forget where that scripture is. It's off the tip of my tongue. It's one of the ones Psalms 137. And 7. Remember Yahweh, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. This is a prayer of David. And, you know, the Edomites at the time of the Neo-Babylonian, you know, the Assyrians under the Nebuchadnezzar and the Neo-Babylonian Empire, you know, when they raided Jerusalem, the Edomites helped them. So, you know, David is calling on the Lord to remember, okay, what the Edomites did. You know, he had a thought. He thought about that. He knew that history says, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed. Okay? And this is a prophecy. He's prophesying. O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. So remember, O Lord, the children of Edom is tied to the judgment of the daughter of Babylon. You see? And the daughter of Babylon is the final kingdom before the Lord sets up his kingdom. And it just so happens to be ran by the biblical Edomites. Right? And it says, and after these things, all right, it says, for true and righteous are his judgments, for he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the whole earth with her fornication, and he have avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. So much that when it falls, Revelation 18:20, it says, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God have avenged you on her. So the holy apostles and prophets, when Babylon is destroyed, showing you they would be here, they are going to rejoice over her. And before she falls, they're going to be ultimately foretelling the demise of Babylon the Great. And we're living at a time where our enemy is very, very, very subtly, all right, chipping away at making it illegal to preach this word. That's really what he's worried about. Overall, other than that, you know, there are things centered around prophecy being fulfilled that lean towards, you know, the fact that our enemy will be exposed in the latter days. Even his own kind is exposing him. He's losing control of the narrative. He's losing credibility. Nobody trusts him. The shameful spewing spoken of in the book of Habakkuk 2:16 is you know, hunting this people. And this is the result, as it says in Isaiah 47, the daughter of Babylon didn't think about the latter end of their actions. You see? And prophetically, the man of sin will be revealed. And Edomites can give a whole lot of, you know, BS criticism, but they are hard with taking it. Them and women. Edomites and women, period, are horrible with criticism. So they start to justify, you know, their emotions and the ability to react or destroy something or attack you, or, you know, or point the finger, you know, instead of taking accountability. Esau, Edom, with his whole, you know, right-wing ideology, is using guys like, you know, CK, who was hitting the neck, all right, using you know, various podcasters, Nick Fuentes is a bunch of them, to spread these Edomite supremacist, you know, racist ideologies, which in a nutshell, being racist is not wicked in itself. All right. Because the word itself just means to love your people above all other people. You advocate for your people. That's what an ist is. Race is your nationality. Ist is something you advocate for. But what nation of people historically have went around using the sword to justify their racial superiority? Even white nations out of land saying that they're ethnically cleansing it. What nation of people have done this? You can't pinpoint that on Pookie and Ray Ray. And with this recent thing happening to CK, you know, the Edomite has lost their mind, putting this guy up as some, you know, kind of martyr for righteousness, and putting the foot down and saying, we will have no more. And now the very party that was supposed to be represent free speech, all right, to counteract the fact that, you know, platforms were shut down during the Ovid, people couldn't talk about things that were going on. You know, the Trump, remember, he was kicked off of X, represented, you know, the free speech, and they threw him. They showed you that even a president, all right, can be censored. You know, he got kicked off of Twitter, you know, and he supposedly stood for free speech, and you people fell for it. Now they're weaponizing this CK situation as a means to say you can't say certain things. Basically, Jacob, you can't testify because our testimony blames him. It accuses him. It calls out his past. It calls out his present. It calls out he's a real Edomite. So very soon, preaching this word is going to be deemed hate speech, because the Edomite race, as you know, the MAGA, as this shooting happened, They were in suspense on who it was. They was hoping it was just some trans weirdo left, and it comes to find out the dude, he's sort of like neutral. And he's an Edomite child, an Edomite boy, right? That comes from a two-parent home. When the whole rhetoric is that all of the crime, which we agree, a lot of the crime comes from children that are raised in single-parent households. All right, you need the presence of a man. You have a grown ass dude growing up with all this testosterone, but he reacts as a woman. That's dangerous, right? On impulse, destroying people things and getting, swinging at people. Women love hitting people, so you get these dudes growing up without any type of discipline. They think they can just hit anybody. They're emotional, but they got all this testosterone. So yeah, there are a lot of crimes do come from children that are raised in single parent houses, but that's not in every case. There are people who were raised in single parent houses who turned out to be decent citizens, right? But we know that is a problem, and that's a curse. That's ultimately in the curses that there will be the breaking up of family structure, the strong man being bound. But nonetheless, when it came out who the shooter was, okay, then the MAGAs just lost their mind, and now they're blaming they're trying to blame it on the left. They're throwing people in jail, right? All over talking points surrounding C. Kirk. Texas Tech student arrested, expelled after video shows her mocking. All right. And these are Christians. And this is the thing. Yeah, we get it. E's gone. Yeah, he talked a bunch of rhetoric, but the mass majority of you Americans identify as Christians, and all you do, is it's nothing but hate. Where's the love? Where's the forgive and forget? Texas Tech student arrested, expelled after video shows her mocking Charlie CK. All right, vigil. Now, let's play this real quick, and we'll just get what we can get. I got a few things. The rhetoric was that only children. Because Esau doesn't want to acknowledge his fault and his evil in the whole grand scheme of what's going on with these reckless niggas in America being a shithole. They don't want to acknowledge their doings.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech.
I wonder if rap music is going to now be identified as hate speech. I wonder if Charleston White getting on the internet and talking about how ignorant niggas is that going to be labeled hate speech? What determines hate speech? See? What determines hate speech? So basically, the scriptures are coming to life. Okay? Isaiah 29:20. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed. All that watch for iniquity are cut off. They put you in the snare of the internet, in the snare of the GMO foods, in the snare of bad culture, in the snare of terrible education, and then they just sit back and wait to accuse. Right? The accuser of the brethren, man. that make a man an offender for a word. See, and this would happen at the same time that verse 19, the meek also shall increase their joy in Yahweh, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. And that's what we're seeing happening. And they're responding to it, because this increased joy in the Lord is marked by an investigation into the works of Babylon the Great and Esau Edom. So the terrible one will be brought to naught. He will be cast down through the word. See? And what that would lead to is what? Habakkuk 2:16, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and a shameful spewing shall be on your glory. For the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, and the spoil of beasts which made them afraid, and because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and all that dwell therein. See? Verse 15. All right, or verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth the town with blood, and established a city by iniquity. Woe to him. So the scriptures call this man out. What sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption? Oh my God. I wonder who's guilty of that. Is that Pookie and Ray Ray? What statistic can we put to that? Who fits that scripture more? Huh? Verse 15, woe to him that giveth his neighbor drink, and that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. So, okay, is this talking about Pookie and Ray Ray selling drugs? All right, Emilio, you know, Baby Joker. Is that talking about them? Now, is that talking about Bill Cosby, you know, giving, you know, them ugly ass women? Oh, them was some bad looking women, boy. You look them niggas up, boy. As a matter of fact, Bill Cosby, that was a bad batch of niggas there, boy. See the images. Look at this nigga here. Yeah, we gotta see pictures of these niggas, boy. Hold up. Damn. Salakia. Maybe this is a good one. Yeah, here they are, but look it up. Look it up, man. A lot of them look like men, but you know that this could be another psyop. But you know the whole narrative with this whole right-wing group of Edomites and the whole MAGA, you know, talking point is that, you know, niggas do all of these things. That's the only problem. But who does it on a higher level? Who has psych meds and, you know, genetically modified foods and all of these, you know, drugs and things? Who created that, and how did it get here? See, you Edomites are good with pointing the finger and calling out all of these issues, but when you are you know, met with, you know, any sense of resistance, you go into accuser mode. And this broke their when the MAGA saw that it was him, and he came from you know, his parents both are Republicans. He's like in the middle when you look up his views. He's not all the way. I mean, although he dressed as Trump for Halloween, I mean, clearly he liked Trump, but in a grand scheme of things, he didn't fit the box that the right wing was painting. So instead of just acknowledging it, it's like, damn, we got, you know, a problem amongst, you know, Edomite children too. Yeah, they do a lot of these shootings and stuff. Yeah, they just start pointing the finger, and now laws are being passed where you can't talk about them.
Speech, and then there's hate speech. And there's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across
Anyone, and that's across the board, really?
the aisle.
So if you say something hateful about George Floyd, oh, well, he was a drug addict. Well, he died. He's a human being, right? What about love? Aren't you all? What happened to this? See, the bottom line with this whole Christian Edomite thing, this is who they always were. This is what it was always about. And they're going to show you better than they could tell you. They're going to show you. They named a certain department, the Department of War. They're getting ready to wage war. They're going to force civil unrest. You getting ready to see the COP or the PSYOP. You're getting ready to see it intensify. It's not going to stop. He's not going to stop. Now, in response, you have this. Arrows of Indignation 144. Subscribe. White man.
Did you see the parade of angry white men chanting, "White man, fight back! White man, fight back"? It's extremely alarming to get that, but I'm also confused. My brother in Christ, for people that look like us to the outside world, it appears that we run and own everything. So most people are curious, who are you fighting back against? And not only that, if you're talking about Charlie Kirk, if you're talking about most mass and school shooters, they're people that look like us. They're white people. So I'm genuinely confused. When you're out there on the street with your tiki torches and you're yelling, "White man, fight back!" What? Who are you being oppressed by? Ourselves? We need to be fighting ourselves? I'm curious. And not to mention, after the third or fourth time saying, "White men, fight back," don't you just naturally want to get quiet and just be like, "Oh"? Maybe white men should be fighting back against fellow people that look like us. We can stand up for injustices, absolutely, but to think that white men are the ones being oppressed, hard to gain an audience on that platform, my guy. White man, white man, white man, white man. Just asking a question. Who y'all fighting back against? Yourselves? Y'all doing it for Charlie Kirk, understandable. But y'all realize he was in front of the biggest game there was in America, which is white Americans. Tell me who destroyed more people or killed more people than white Americans? White men. Don't worry, I'll wait. See,
But see, they're able to tap into their statistics and play on people's emotions, which some of the things they bring out are true. Some of the things that they bring out are inflated. Some of the things are, there's them doing 2 on a 10, if you know that slang, and accusing Jacob. Again, Psalms 50 and 20. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. So it's a lot of slander in there. See, because what's happening is the elect has awakened. And see, we're telling our people to stop doing those very things. And what we're doing is considered hate speech. We're telling people to stop, doing all of the wickedness that they do in their own neighborhoods. See? But how has that affected the lives of you Edomites here in America? You don't go around those wild savages. Okay? The problem is you're being fucked by your own government, and the small hat has ran off with the blessing. Now you need somebody to blame to justify waging war on everybody. It started with the Northern Kingdom, right? And now it's the Southern Kingdom. And then they throw the trans community in there. Then they throw the left agenda in there. You got yourself a war, buddy. And they have systematically linked you in with the left hand, with the Democrats, with the liberals. So he's able to paint this narrative about Jake in the form of an accusation and a testimony against us and put it in everyone's face, tie it to statistics. All right. Just glorify, gang culture, rap culture, keep niggas in your face, keep just the worst of the worst. Okay. Of niggas in the camera, give them millions of dollars, just niggas, just everywhere. And again, you are not going to see rap music be labeled as hate speech. You will never see it. Why? Why is that? Why is all of the amount of speech, they say words incite people. What has rap music, all right, in its, form today, and gangster rap, what has it provoked amongst the tribes, the Israelites, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? So why wouldn't you stop it? Because you want to use that as a means to accuse us. And you be taking money out of the small hats pocket. They need a pack of niggas like that. So these things hast thou done. Well, what did you do? You speakest and slanderest your own mother's son. And Jacob is the brother of Esau. Jacob and Esau is Cain and Abel reincarnated, man. And this is the theme of the story. Okay, the back and forth between these two. You see it clearly happening right now. Now the white man has to fight back after one of his own takes out one of his own. But as long as you're talking shit, and you got people doing too much, all right, you already see what your enemy's on, all right? And just watch these devils collapse from the inside out, because that's what the elite are doing to this place. But either way it go, when niggas fall and when niggas die, when niggas go broke, Esau is always there to mock and laugh. And you had particular Jake and a lot of Edomites as well, mock CK's passing. So now that's being used as a means to say enough is enough. See? So now draconian measures are coming to pass. Okay? Texas Tech student arrested, expelled after video shows her mocking this guy. All right? I mean, you can look it up. I'm pretty sure you can find it. All right, but ABC pulls Jimmy Kimmel live off air indefinitely over C. Kirk comments. What? So they're showing you through big names that no matter who you are, if you speak against what we don't like, or if you speak against what we are about, if you speak against somebody we like or somebody we hold in high regard, if you speak against this race of people, the small hat, right, we can eliminate you. The Jimmy Kimmel Show, damn. Sheesh. God damn, nigga, you get a headband. God damn, boy. We got to get out of here. We got to get out of here, man. Jimmy Kimmel was taken off of the air over his talking point on that. You got these random videos popping up where people are just screaming out things and going in on this guy, CK. Right? Suspect arrested after setting memorial of C. Kirk on fire in front of children. So now, as we told you yesterday, we see how they're weaponizing this guy going back to the spirit world. Let's see here.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We turn now to the fallout in the wake of the assassination of the conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The 22-year-old man accused of assassinating Kirk is scheduled to appear in court Tuesday. Tyler Robinson was detained Thursday.
And here it is. You couldn't find him. All right. You got all this tech and you couldn't find him. So what is this going to say? We need more. We need more policing. We need more AI. We need facial recognition system set up. It's too much. And what they're going to do is make a man an offender for a word. They're using this guy as a martyr. And they're weaponizing his killing. And what is the goal? As a matter of fact, I want to go read this. Genesis 27:36 in the NLT. Esau exclaimed, "No wonder his name is Jacob, for now he has cheated me twice. First he took my rights as the firstborn, which you gave it away. And now he has stolen my blessing. Oh, haven't you even one blessing for me?" So he immediately demonized Jacob when he's the one who gave it away. Revelation 12:17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of Yahushua. See, they have that testimony. So he's coming up with a very, very sly and crafty way to justify, all right, shutting down certain talking points. It's basically like telling Deontay Wilder, you can't throw your right hand. Telling Mayweather, you got to fight, but you can't use defense. Like, what? But this is the crafty devil. This is, again, the serpent is more subtle than any of the beasts of the field.
Thursday night after he reportedly confessed to his father, who then reached out to a youth pastor who called the U.S. Marshals. Robinson is reportedly not cooperating with investigators and is being held under special watch in the Salt Lake City jail. Charlie Kirk was fatally shot while speaking at a campus event at Utah Valley University Wednesday. Authorities are still trying to determine a motive in the killing. Tyler Robinson grew up in a deeply Republican family. Authorities say Robinson engraved messages into bullet casings with references to various online...
And all of these people are doing that now. All of these so-called shooters are, putting messages on the bullets. It's like, come on, man. If you can't follow, if you can't see the psyop, man. I mean, but again, they're gonna wage war on these premises, man, on these on this anger. So he's coming to make war with the remnant of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man.
And video game memes. Utah's Republican Governor Spencer Cox claimed Robinson had leftist ideology, but did not share any evidence. There's also been speculation. Robinson.
And when you read his when you go into this dude, he's not really a leftist. If anything, he's in the middle. But for some reason, the right is got a hard on to just blame the left and tie it to left. It's the left, and again, the two horns like a lamb. We getting ready to see him speak as a dragon. What did we just read? Isaiah 29:20. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. This is all a part of that snare. Okay? Now, these devils are being told they got to fight back. Okay? And now you have a flood of information that needs to be stopped. So we're witnessing the pressure from above, pressure from below ritual.
And may have been influenced by a far-right movement known as Groypers, which is tied...
You hear this right, left. You hear that. That is within this system is sunken in. It you know, without that, you know, the prophecy wouldn't be fulfilled. So we're seeing the left-right paradigm, man. Okay, we're seeing it. The two horns like a lamb. We bring that out every video.
To the white nationalist Nick Fuentes. This is Utah Governor Cox speaking Friday.
I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not.
See, within Esau's system, there's certain terms and groups and ideologies that give him this nigga is guilty. Look at this nigga. Cash Patel, guilty. He just looks guilty. These are all actors, man. This is a very interesting, but things are actually happening. But you know, this is a very, very motley bunch, man. I mean, these people are scum, man. Just be honest with yourself, man. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahshua, the rulers of this world and these people they have in front of us are absolute through. See?
Violence is violence. If there is one person responsible for what happened here, and that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable.
While Utah Governor Spencer Cox said there's one person responsible for Charlie Kirk's killing, President Trump sent a very different message when he appeared on Fox News.
How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less.
I couldn't care less about fixing this country. Look at this. Look at this guy. Look at this. Where are we? This is really a thing. We're really here. We're really looking at this shit. This is really the rulers of the earth. These people control policy. People like this. Let's go back.
On Fox News.
How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't
see the radicals on the right.
Want to see crime. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy.
This weekend, Trump called for Democratic donor George Soros to be jailed. Trump's top advisor, Stephen Miller, has also threatened to target and dismantle progressive organizations after Kirk's killing. Miller was on Fox News Friday.
The last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joins his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last.
See that? The left, violence. Now you see why they allowed you Jakes, which agent provocateurs were at the forefront of it, but they funded movements where you can just tear shit up because you didn't like something that the police did. You could just go and riot, and you know, now you're tied to that leftist agenda. The left funded that. As much as you Edomites want to point the finger at Jake, you also have to point the finger at the Edomites who funded it. Okay? The BLM. Who funded it? And what was the real agenda of it? Because I have the mission statement that was taken down, that was initially put up by BLM, where they said we are here to dismantle the patriarchy and the oppressive system of men being ahead, and we want to take the man out of the house. All right, or and put the trans, and the alphabet ubiquitous people as leaders in our communities and our families. That's what it was all about. You think you don't think an enemy set that up? An enemy of Jake? See, the scriptures say that this devil only seeks to cast him down from his excellency. If there's anything he gonna put money into and do, all right, it's this. Psalm 62:3. How long will ye imagine mischief against a man? Ye shall be slain, all of you, as a bowing wall, ye shall be as a tottering fence. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. See? So they only seek to cast Jacob down from his excellency, man. That's what they do. And they funded various, things that were prominent and still are prominent in Jake's neighborhood that were really a snare for them. So we can't ignore the role of Edomite America, especially Christian Edomite America, Christian white America. We can't ignore their role, right? And where Jake is at and where this system is at and the brutal history of it.
Message that he sent me before that assassin stole him from all of us. And we are going to do that.
Stephen Miller on Fox News. Supporters of Charlie Kirk have also launched sweeping
That Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence.
And this dude ain't really radical left like that. He wasn't really radical left like that. When you go into his MO, like I said, he was kind of like neutral. He was a Trump supporter at the end of the day. He dressed up like him for Halloween. His TikTok account contained white supremacist symbols. Okay. Boy, these devils are something else, man.
That was the last message that he sent me before that assassin stole him from all of us. And we are going to do that.
Stephen Miller on Fox News. Supporters of Charlie Kirk have also launched sweeping campaigns to target people for making critical remarks about Kirk after his death. NPR reports at least 21 educators have already been fired, put on administrative leave, or placed under investigation by their employers. NBC News reports Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has urged his staff to identify any military members who mocked or condoned the killing of Kirk. For more, we're joined here in New York by Chris Hedges, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, former foreign correspondent for the New York Times for over 2 decades, foretold reporting about the horrific murder of Kirk.
Well, you saw that his murder weaponized even before the suspect was apprehended, and the quote-unquote radical left being blamed. So in every conflict that I covered, martyrs were kind of the lifeblood of violent movements. You hold up the martyr, and any shirking from purging the society through violence of those individuals or groups who are blamed for killing the martyr is a betrayal of the martyr. And we saw that happen instantly. That's how Kirk's casket goes on Air Force Two. He's awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The flags are half. I mean, and that's only accelerated. He comes out of the Christian nationalist movement, which I wrote about a decade ago in my book, American Fascist, The Christian Right and the War in America. It's a movement I know very well. I'm also a seminary graduate. And I think we've reached a very frightening turning point. I think that we've already seen an assault on civil liberties, on institutions, universities, the media that are tasked with maintaining an open society. That will now be accelerated. I don't take any of this rhetoric lightly. I look at it as 3 phases. First, we saw those who protested the genocide attacked as anti-Semites, although a significant percentage, 20-30%, were probably Jewish. That was a way to shut down free speech. Then we saw undocumented workers being targeted and demonized as criminals and all this kind of stuff as a way to build Trump's version of the brown shirts, this rogue paramilitary group, ICE, with all of these detention centers. I mean, the budget is now larger than all federal law enforcement agencies combined, ICE. These detention.
So they've just justified waging war on people. And they use the media as a big part, as a big part of it. So they're just passing laws and legislation. This is actually a good interview if you listen to them.
detention centers are not going to be exclusively for undocumented workers. And now we're seeing the radical left demonized to shut down individuals and organizations that dissent from the rapid consolidation of this police state or authoritarian state.
I want to go back to President Trump. This is the president speaking in Morristown, New Jersey, on the tarmac Sunday before boarding Air Force One.
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the education.
So it's almost like it's an enchantment. They just keep saying it. Revelation 13 and 11. And I know y'all, some of y'all may get tired of hearing it. Turn the video off. All right? Revelation 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb. And he spake as a dragon. That's the left and the right. Okay? And we know that Draco, when you look up the word, because he spake as a dragon, dracon, all right, draconian laws. You see dracon. Okay, what are draconian laws? Let's look that up. What are draconian laws? Draconian laws are rules or actions that are excessively harsh, severe, and restrictive. Okay? It's a Greek word. And it goes back to an Athenian legislator that comes out of Athens, Greece, because you have to understand when you deal with this beast system, it also has remnants of Greek culture. It was the Greco-Roman Empire. And democracy stemmed from, all right, the Athenian, the Greeks. All right, that's one of the starting points of it. There's other little histories as well, but because democracies lead to tyrannies. Okay, as a matter of fact, how can a democracy lead to tyranny? Wow, okay. This is something philosophers and historians have wrestled with for centuries. Democracy, while often seen as the safest form of government, can carry with it the seeds of tyranny if certain safeguards fail. Here's the main ways democracies can turn into a tyranny. Majority rule without restraint. In a pure democracy, the majority can impose its will on minorities with no checks. We saw that with the tranny movement being enforced, the Libiquita community, where the cause of a small group of people, they can make that the majority through witchcraft, through their media, and laws are now passed to protect these people, but it exploits people. The erosion of institutions, appealing securities in crisis, corruption and apathy. So democracies can lead to tyranny. Okay? How could the left, right paradigm, if that's how you spell it, lead to tyranny? The left-right political paradigm, progressive versus conservative, can look like balance, but it can also become a trap that paves the way for tyranny if people aren't careful. Division becomes a tool of control. When people see politics only as left and right, they can be easily divided and distracted. Elites or demagogues exploit that division to consolidate power, keeping people fighting each other instead of checking authority. All right, demonization of the opponent. Each side begins to see the other not as just wrong, but as evil and dangerous. That justifies censorship, repression, or even violence for the greater good. See, this is where we're headed. Tyranny creeps in when one faction insists it must silence or destroy the other to save the nation. Erosion of the middle ground. Healthy democracies rely on compromise and shared values. When everything is framed as left versus right, the center collapses and extremist voices dominate. This polarization makes authoritarian solution look attractive. One strong leader, the end of chaos. And this is what we're seeing, man. And people are finding out that this man isn't liberal. Okay? Isaiah 32:4. The vile person shall no more be called liberal. And doesn't he patsy himself as a liberal? You have the conservative versus the liberal. But his democracy is a snare. It exploits you. Okay? It puts a hot link on a stick and have you chasing it. You never get it. Okay? It just use you and abuse you, man. You know, you get certain liberties and welfare rights and certain things like that. All right, but overall, you're kept fighting for a very low-level cause, man. Civil rights and being equal with Esau and, you know, screaming for this man to accept you. That's what it's all rooted in. He keeps you in a circle. He tells you what to get mad about. He tells you what to celebrate. He tells you who your leaders are. That's how the left has done you Israelites, and you fell in love with it. When after the Civil War, it was the Republicans who freed you niggas, right? Supposedly, Abraham Lincoln, which really he emancipated you, which emancipate means to transfer, all right, the product. Just means to transfer to another ruler. That's what emancipate means. So the Emancipation Proclamation was them proclaiming they're no longer bound, all right, to the slave master and working in the field. We're transferring them to the bankers, to where now they'll be contractual slaves, all right, and this is where we are today. You know, we have little contracts and we work these jobs. They just transferred you from the South, and you went and chased the dream of the North. Okay, but early Jake in America, all right, was Democrat, but you know the Republicans crept in using, you know, the Great Depression as a means to promise you all of these things, the New Deal, which it never happened, but you were promised all of these great things, and they've always promised you this and this and that. All right, but they've just exploited you. Okay, and presented you as this helpless monkey that we got to help. You know, we got to help these monkeys. Then they give you leaders and movements, and now your ass marching all in circles without a real cause, man. So you've been used and abused by this left-right paradigm. Even the Republicans screwed you over. But, you know, early Republicans, they, you know, after the Civil War, they let certain Jake get positions even in their government. The Republicans did that. So when did Jake become this big Democrat? But we tell you overall, none of them are good. None of them are good, man. The Republicans took certain rights away from you as soon as they could, man, and passed laws and legislation and didn't end things when they could have that pretty much put you 100, you were already behind. They put you 100 years more behind with, you know, things like Jim Crow and particular laws. But America doesn't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about these aspects of history and what they've done to Jake. Yeah, we can look at the result, but the result is to what you did to them. This is you. This is you. You rule the show, right? You're the great white man. You rule the world. So why are your people so jacked up under your rulership? Why are your subjects so destitute if you're just this great ruler? You think in our kingdom people are going to be able to walk around hooked on drugs and learning lies? No, they're going to learn the truth. And they're going to have to follow a standard of righteousness, man. So people are finding out that you devils ain't liberal, nor are you bountiful. You deal harshly. You're not right. The people are mourning under your rulership. The earth is mourning. The wealth gap is absolutely crazy. And that's something that's never addressed. You cry about, I'm getting shot in the ass, the police, but what about the wealth gap? What about the horrible education? What about this horrible rap music that you allow on to the radio station with your power? How about we address where these guns and drugs come from? Not the end result of it. Yeah, we can always point. Yeah, the end result of it is a problem. It's something you can point out. But what about the one who started that fire? See, you can't just look at everything burned down and say, well, damn, look, this is crazy. Whoever did, well, who did it? For the vile person will no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy. So this is very hypocritical to now say, you can't say nothing about me. What? Using this situation here to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry, for he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. So he's going to cut this word off, but the Lord is going to allow him. The instrument of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. So we have a righteous cause, but he is getting ready to, and he's going to use a lot of these fake Israelites. They're going to help him to blame the ministry.
You look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burning.
The scum that speaks so badly of our country. We know where it's going.
All the place. That's the left. That's not the right.
So that's President Trump before there was any evidence revealed. After.
So they're basically egging on war.
Utah Governor Cox says we have to be very clear this is the work of one person. I mean, for example, when Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma City building and killed over 160 people, people didn't say they're going to go after white Christian men. But what about what what Stephen Miller is doing and saying they're going after leftist organizations? They're talking about flag burning.
Yeah. When was the last flag burning? I don't remember one. Well, it's all fictitious. They've already started going after these organizations, but this has given them...
They're subconsciously talking about the prophets. See? Because through our word, the missiles are coming, the chariots are coming, fire's coming.
A green light to lift all constraints. And we've seen, a bill was the Florida, what was his name, Best or Most, I don't remember this, in the House, where groups that supposedly provide material support to terrorism can have their citizenship revoked. Remember Tom Cotton, right after 9/11, wanted to prosecute or go after mainstream media organizations, AP, CNN, the New York Times, for using graphic pictures from October 7th and from the genocide. So
yeah. I want to play this one too. Hold up. Arrows of Indignation. 144.
Well, it's this right here. The House of Representatives just passed a bill punishing politically motivated boycotts of Israel. Quote, in a first step towards a federal law punishing criticism of Israel, the House of Representatives on Wednesday, that was 9/11, mind you, passed a massive defense budget that would bar companies engaged in politically motivated boycotts of the country from Pentagon content.
And everybody, they've been kicked out over 100 and something countries. Everybody is complaining about the small hats. Now, all right, legislation is passed, all right, punishing businesses, all right, that are politically against the small hats.
Right here, the House of Representatives just passed a bill punishing for politically motivated boycotts of Israel. Quote, in a first step towards a federal law punishing criticism of Israel, the House of Representatives on Wednesday, that was 9/11, mind you, passed a massive defense budget that would bar companies engaged in politically motivated boycotts of the country from Pentagon contracts. The bill would effectively ban contractors boycotting Israel from tapping most federal contract dollars, since more than half of the $755 billion in the U.S. government spent on contracts last year flowed through the Defense Department. So in more plain English, the U.S. Congress is trying to make it so that in order for American weapons manufacturers to supply weapons to the U.S. military, they must also supply weapons to Israel by law. What the is that all about?
But here's some crazy news that you may have missed. The House passed a controversial amendment that punishes businesses if they boycott Israel. It was added to the defense budget by Republican Lauren Boebert. And it may mean that a company or nonprofit engaging in what she calls a politically motivated boycott will be barred from most Pentagon contracts. You know, guys, it's crazy because the movie.
So, Second Esdras 6:9 says, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. We jump to verse 18. It says, behold, the days come that I shall begin to draw nigh on the earth, and to visit them that dwell on the earth. And this is a part of how he visits. And I will begin to make inquisition of them, what they do or be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. So what does the word inquisition mean? Let's see. A period of prolonged and intensive questioning or investigation. And see, this is what Esau has been under. He's being questioned. His history is, he's being cross-examined. People are going into facts on him. So now he's banning the facts. He's having these certain museums can't have certain information, certain history, can't be in the history books. We need to take that out. We need to stop focusing on the bad side of slavery and focus on the good side of it. Nigga, we saved the world. Our IQ is higher. It's better that we rule. Yeah, they were there. Yeah, we killed them. And we're not sorry, because what we did helped the earth. What we did, all of that killing, now you have a card. You have people who were here before we got here that couldn't even make a ball. We gave you a basketball. Here it is, they're drinking out of creeks. We give you bottled water. Hell, they weren't even sick. Now you got a cold. Well, now I got aspirin to help you with the cold. Because none of these diseases were here before you devils got here. And the only history you want to bring out is the fact that the Native Americans, so-called, were savages and eating, each other. You may have had certain Jake doing that. Jake has been into human sacrifice and various things. Even the kings of Judah got into that garbage. But you mean to tell me nothing good? That was every situation you ran across. Was just a bunch of savage. There was no culture. It was nothing good that you took from them or that they were doing in the earth. So this becomes a narrative. Well, the people who were here, the Native Americans, yeah, we killed them, but they were savages. They were eating hearts. But what about you eating? What about Christopher Columbus? They were eating each other. You devils have a big time history of cannibalism and creepy weirdo activity. What about the Germans and their lust? All right, Germanium major, Germanium minor, the lust for, human sacrifice. You Edomites in your history eating out of skulls. Like you just have this squeaky clean history. No, inquisition is being made of you. A testimony is being made against you. So now you are getting ready to pass legislation to make the testimony illegal. To make testifying against you illegal.
Targets the BDS movement, which
stands for boycott, divestment, and sanctions. Supporters of the amendment argue that American taxpayer dollars should never go to companies that protest Israel. But critics, including the ACLU, warn that this is an attack on free speech. They point out that boycotts have been recognized by courts as a form of political expression, protected under the First Amendment. Legal challenges are...
Well, now they're saying there's hate speech and then there's free speech. So now they're getting ready to change the laws. They're getting ready to lose their mind because it's over for them. Okay, they're getting ready to throw the kitchen sink. They're getting ready to come with everything, and it's going to be unreal how wicked it is, but this is what they're going to do. This is how they justify waging war. It's an enchantment.
Almost certain federal courts have struck down similar state laws in Kansas, Texas, Arkansas, saying the government can't force people or companies to give up their political beliefs or to do business. The Senate's version of the defense bill does not include this language, so this will be...
So they're making you bow to their image. See? Let's see here. Let's get Revelation, the 13th chapter. Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life to the image of the beast, even the concept of democrat and republic. Let's ask this. How, because you in ancient Rome is the democrat republic similar to ancient Rome's plebeian and patrician. In ancient Rome, you had the plebeian and the patrician. So I asked, how is the excellent connection? The U.S. left-right paradigm, Democrat versus Republican, shares a lot of structural similarities with the plebeian versus the patrician divide in ancient Rome. Both are framed for the people versus for the elite. But in practice, both systems can mask deeper unity among the ruling class. Let me break it down. Class divide versus party divide. In Rome, the patricians were aristocrat, land-owning elites. That's the Republicans. The plebeians were commoners, often struggling for political representation. And that's what the left is supposed to represent, a place for the struggler, the oppressed, the marginalized, to have a voice or to have rights or to have a say-so against all these land-owning elites who buy up everything and have all of the power. Well, we have a party where we will give you a voice. Okay? The U.S. Republicans claim to represent traditional values, property owners, family, business interests. Patrician Democrats often claim to represent workers, minorities, and marginalized modern plebeian favors. So as the plebeians and the patricians are back here, so we're literally witnessing the image of the beast, ancient Rome, live. Okay? Controlled opposition. In Rome, even when the plebeians won new rights, the patrician senate still held a numerous power. In America, both Democrats and Republicans are influenced heavily by corporate donors, lobbyists, and elites, meaning they may not be real on the surface, but both sides, meaning the fight may be real on the surface, but both sides operate within the same ruling structure. Boom. Both systems give the appearance of choice while maintaining elite control. Two horns like a lamb, and he speaks as a dragon. Manipulation to the masses, cycle towards tyranny. All right. Manipulation of the masses. In Rome, bread and circuses, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul, Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul or whatever Paul, Free food and entertainment kept plebeians pacified while real power stayed in the patricians' hands. So they give you niggas stadiums, and in the hood, you notice all these football stadiums, used to be just in the hood. You know, the Oakland Raiders, the Philly, the Baltimore, it's all in the hood, really, amongst the poor. So nigga here, this big ass stadium, go watch your favorite team and forget about what I did. Okay? And that's what happened in ancient Rome. Bread and circuses. U.S. political parties use media narratives, culture wars, and promises, tax cuts, welfare, student loan relief to win loyalty, right? Didn't Biden bring up, we'll give you student loan relief, then he took it away. All right? And Trump came and took it away too. And nigga, no. You immediately, you better start paying this shit back. So you don't win with either of them. It sounds good, but you always end up being left behind, man, and oppressed. And the rich will continue to get richer, and your groceries are going to continue to go up. Grocery prices spiked to the highest level in 3 years. And Edomites are suffering from this stuff. All right? Edomites are suffering from this stuff more than anybody. I wonder, can you blame a nigga for this? So this left-right paradigm, I love to talk about this aspect of the scripture because, again, Revelation 13 and 15, and he had power to give life to the image of the beast. Okay? And what beast? The beast, as you see in the prior verse, Revelation 13 and 14, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, his technology, his AI, Palantir, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had a wound by a sword and did live. And how did it have a wound by a sword? The Western Roman Empire fell. How did it live? Through the Renaissance, which what we are living in is the end result. It's a result of the Renaissance. Okay, where Rome has been revived into the earth, and we're seeing the very system of ancient Rome right before our very eyes that are leading you towards taking a microchip. So he had power to give life to the image of the beast. So we're seeing Rome live through a senate, through coliseums, through heated floors, through cement bridges, through fast food. I mean, you know, Saturnalia, which is Christmas today, you know, which that all goes back to Babylon. Okay, so many, you know, the coined with faces on the coin, which many kingdoms did that. But that's Esau. Whose face is on this coin? Caesar. The denarius, which today is the dollar, which how was the denarius devalued? Okay, through inflation. There eventually was a shrinkflation in Rome where you were getting less product for more money. All of these things happen in ancient Rome. Okay, a lot of the symbolism, Roman numerals, all of this stuff comes from ancient Rome. And what we're showing you is the left-right divide, which played out in ancient Rome, and it cycled towards tyranny. Okay? Rome, constant plebeian. Plebeian-patrician conflict led to demagogues like Julius Caesar gaining power by claiming to champion the people, which ended the republic. In the U.S., polarization between Democrats and Republicans risks leading to a strongman figure who promises to end division by consolidating power in modern Caesar. Similarity, deep division creates instability, which makes tyranny appealing as a solution. All right. Let's see. I mean, you know, you could just look it up, you know. Spiritual connection, the Apocrypha, Sirach 10 and 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Rome fell because of its ruling class became corrupt. The same warning applies today. Matthew 12 and 25, a divided house cannot stand. Division paves the way for a collapse. Daniel 2 and 41 through 43, kingdoms divided, iron and clay, and he inherently unstable like Rome, just like America. So in ancient Rome, the plebeian and the patrician is basically how this devil, justified consolidating power and, waging war on the people, man.
Be a major flashpoint when both chambers tried to agree on a final bill.
Are U.S. companies forced to support and back Israel? Please pay attention to the end of the video because that is the most vital information to understand why. So remember, the U.S. government hasn't passed any new legislations on term limits or ensuring that Americans will get health care and assistance, but they did manage to pass a bill on September 11th. It's amazing how productive our U.S. government can be for Israel. The U.S. House of Representatives on Wednesday passed the annual defense policy bill, getting nearly $900 billion in military.
And this is another thing you MAGAs don't want to address. What about America? What about the Americans? What about the farmers? Why no laws passed to help these people? You got the money. $900 billion in military spending? Wow.
Military spending for Israel, 231 to 196 vote, largely along party lines, and underscores Washington's continued military and political support for the Jewish state as it wages war against Iran's network of terrorist proxies in the Middle East.
It's about time we stop, those of us who support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the...
You know who that is, right? Look closely. That's Creepy Joe. It's Joe Biden.
best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region.
What's crazy to me is that the U.S. has so many export laws on arms, meaning all of your military equipment, and it's controlled by the AECA. And I looked it up. That's the Arms Export Control Act.
So you can watch this video. Basically, they're going hard for them people, but you American people are being left out, man. So, with all that's happening, where's the love? You Christians are quick to wage war, right? As a solution. But where's the turn the other cheek? Where's the love? People losing jobs. Jake and Esau got hung. 2 men were found hanging from trees in Mississippi. So things are only going to turn up, man. And if it doesn't, they're going to make it turn up. They're going to make it turn up. We in them times, man. See here. So, Psalms 37 and 14, the wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart and their bows shall be broken. See? So the Lord is going to break this up, man. I mean, these devils think they have the perfect plan to just accuse, all right? Just to be an accuser as he's always been. Revelation 10, 12, and 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and the power of his anointed, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down. So this is the accuser, the adversary. Let's look up accuser, which they've changed the meaning of this. Categoreo, he's put you in a category to accuse before a judge to make an accusation. And see, the accusation against our people is that we are a part of the left, and our horrible culture, and we're bad weeds, and it's justified. Let's just wage war on them, man. To charge with some offense. So this is what Esau's doing. And the offense is going to be centered around speech. Okay? Psalms 94:20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They gather themselves together against the righteous and condemn innocent blood. But the Lord is my defense and the God of my rock. Okay? My power is the God of my refuge. He shall bring upon them their own iniquity and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, Yahweh shall cut them off. Okay? And our people are still tied to the system, man. This is a throne of iniquity, man. Okay? Oh, man. Okay. But, yeah. Let's see here. That's pretty much it, See what we got here. Let's look at what's going on in Eve's world. So Jimmy Kimmel lost his broadcast license. So what can they do to you? They're going to start coming in, people getting fired. Let's see here. Official study, if you want to look at some crime, let's revisit what happened with this, Who's at the forefront of that? Charlie Sheen. Now, Charlie Sheen got a series coming out on Netflix, I believe. And this dude was knowingly infecting other men with HIV. All right? Going raw dog with medicine on his cabinet. They would be like, well, he didn't tell me, but I saw the medicine. Now he has a voice after admitting to knowingly giving other men that disease, man. That's the Edomite for you. EU admits juice jabs were released without any safety data. Wow. That's some hella crime right there. But anyway, I think the internet is kind of messing up. So let's see here. See, the UN will say this. UN Commission says State of Israel is guilty of genocide in Gaza, but it'll be vetoed. No action will be taken because of America's, dominance, the DC. MTG, Charlie Kirk shooting proves it's time for a national divorce between red and blue states. So all of these agents are getting ready to, it's getting ready to go in, man, and we're witnessing a big, point in prophecy. So we just stay locked in, man. Shalom.